like I said, we're going to be understanding the different type of mailbox in Office 365 and their users. So ideally, when we go into the full training, this course might still be taken, but we'll be going in depth to look into how to create them, their use cases, why you should use this. But what I'm going to be briefly, the class, like I said, I was telling you, okay, the class is going to be very short because I just want to introduce to you um and tell you why you should go for an Office 365 mailbox. So mailbox basically is something that you use to host like different items. For example, when you open a Gmail account, you have a purpose for which you open it, and one of the use case is to send and receive emails. Another use case for having a mailbox is you want to store like calendar items for your meetings. You want to have catalogs of your meetings, what day you will be free, how many meetings you're going to have in this day. You want to have like a section where you can visibly see all this. And the same applies to Office 365. Yes, it's unlike the private cloud we have in organizations where um, they create like their standard server rooms and install their servers, and they can also install applications on there where you can connect to. Like in native organizations, we see users still use like the on-premises Exchange server, where a mailbox is provisioned for that user, and the user can access that mailbox from anywhere. That is what we call like a private cloud. And Office 365 is basically like a public kind of service provided by Microsoft. It's a software as a service provided by Microsoft for collaboration with other section of the services. And one of the service that is given is the Exchange service. And what the Exchange service basically does is provides you with a mailbox um, that you can customize. So this is one of the key features of the Office 365 is the ability to create and manage different types of mailboxes depending on the user needs and scenario. So we have different types of mailboxes in Office 365. We have the user mailbox, a shared mailbox, an archive mailbox, and a group mailbox. Now, each of these mailboxes answer to different needs. There are certain things that the free service you have with your Gmail, you can't carry it out in. You can. There are some limitations you have when you're using your generic gmail.com mailbox or your yahoo.com or your outlook.com mailbox. There are some limitations that you would face that a structured enterprise service like Exchange would give to you. And these are some of the features you can get. You have the user mailbox, the shared mailbox, the resource mailbox, archive mailbox, and the group mailbox. Now, what is a user mailbox? So for example, you have an organization and you have, let's say we have chai.com, and what we do is we are into outsourcing tech support. So we provide support for companies that want to outsource their tech, and we have an organization of, let's say, 10 users. And for example, and God connects me to someone, and he connects me to, let's say, for example, the Dangote brand, and we're told to like present our have an email communication. And when I want to send an email to Dangote, I'm sending an email with Victor Durojaiye 2000 at gmail.com, or some of the funny emails we have. I love life at gmail.com. I love life 2022 at gmail.com. They would see that we're not serious. Now, what Office 365 does for you is that it allows you to have a structured service. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead to purchase a domain, chai.com. Hopefully it has not been purchased. I also purchased a DNS hosting with that same provider, and I put in the required records to help me create a custom email address with Office 365. So that means I can have an email address that says info@jaye.com. I can have victor@jaye.com. Each of my staffs can have a mailbox that they can use for communication. So user mailboxes are usually assigned to users. They are the default mailbox created in Office 365. And it is created when you purchase the Exchange service. The Exchange service has a standalone version, and it's also included with other services like the Business Basic. I'm sure there will be a training on um, the commerce side of Office 365. So we have different licenses that gives you the Exchange service, and the mailbox that is created by default with the Exchange service. Like I said, the default mailbox that is created is the user mailbox, and it's assigned to individual users, and it can be accessed in two ways: from Outlook on the web or any of the any email client. So Outlook is an email client. We have Thunderbird. We have the default email client in Mac. We have the default email client in Windows. So these mailboxes can be accessed from anywhere. It's not just specific to just on the web and Outlook application. It can be accessed on any default email client, and it gives you the same features with extra. It allows you to send and receive. You can design a signature for your tenants that is customized for everybody. You can have a disclaimer. You can use it to manage calendars. And the good thing about Exchange, Office 365 in general, is that each of the applications collaborate with each other. So you can have a Teams meeting created from your Outlook calendar, and it sends out a Teams invite. So there's a collaboration between all the services you have in Office 365. Now, another type of mailbox I would like us to discuss is called the shared mailbox. So a shared mailbox is used for collaboration among a group of people. Now, before I come back to shared mailbox, I want to talk about the storage capability of the user mailbox. So unlike your generic Gmail, where you have 15 gig given to you, and the 15 gig is not just for your emails alone, it's for your backup of your OneDrive, of your Google Drive, of your yes, if you want to back up your pictures on your phone, all these are incorporated in that 15 gig given to you by Gmail. So but with Office 365, you are given the option of having by default 50 gigabytes, and you can also purchase the Exchange Online Plan 2, which gives you 100 gigabytes of storage for, and that storage is specific to your mailbox. So now you see the difference. Gmail gives you 15 gig for for pictures, for Drive, for email items. But Office 365, with your user mailbox, you can have 50 gig for just your mailbox. That is your mailbox items, your calendar, your memo, your contacts, your personal data, which is your memo, your personal notes, your inbox, your sent items, can have either 50 gigabytes or 100 gigabytes. Now, I want to tell you about another interesting feature of the mailbox in Exchange Online. We have the shared mailbox. So I was given the scenario of Jaye.com. Now, we know the struggling the way it is to thrive as a business in Nigeria, and you always have to cut costs. So, for example, I have 5 users, and I have an accounting department with, let's say, two people managing it. I have, let's say, an IT department also in-house, and let's say we have 3 people there. And now I don't want to purchase a license for everybody. I want to create like a mailbox where 2 of those IT guys can work on that same mailbox and use it to to send emails. So for example, they have their individual mailbox. I don't want to create, okay, for example, we have 5 users, let's say me, Rookie, Temidayo, Lovelane. Now Rookie is in the IT department. She has her own personal mailbox in the organization, and I want her to also manage the IT department emails. That is emails received by internal IT queries. instead of me purchasing the license for the IT mailbox, I can create a shared mailbox. So a shared mailbox does not require a license. So you can use it and for group of people to work together for a common need, for a common function, for a common purpose. See the example again. We can say, so let's mute our mic, guys, so we don't cause distractions. So we can use it for sales, for projects, for IT, and multiple people can have access to this same mailbox and send emails on behalf of that mailbox. So if for example, like I gave the example of Rookie, if she sends an email on behalf of IT to someone, the email will not read email coming from rookie@chai.com. It will read email coming from it@chai.com. Shared mailbox also can have calendars. It has the same features that you have with the and it does not require a license. Now, we have so many people that let me use the word allowing in the world today. They don't know that there's a catch to it. They just feel okay. So like I was giving an example, I in my capacity as a support engineer for Microsoft, I've seen instances where I had a customer with an Indian, and he just purchased one business standard license, and he had like almost 30 people in his organization, and he was creating shared mailbox for them, and he wants each and every one of them to be able to sign into the mailbox. It was a very serious issue. He was saying it is right for them to sign into it. So one catch to the shared mailbox is that you cannot sign in to the shared mailbox using like a username and password, like you would do with a user mailbox. So with shared mailbox, you give what we call permissions. These are things we'll go into deeply when the main class starts. So we have what we call permissions. So you give like a delegate permission on that mailbox. That is what gives you access to it. That is, you can't just open, let's say, outlook.office.com and you want to sign into the shared mailbox. It won't allow you to do that because you don't have a license. So you are accessing it via a delegate permission. So that's one catch we should take note of when it comes to shared mailbox. Yes, it's a good one. It helps you cut costs in a situation whereby you have, like, let's say, info at customer service at sales at, and you don't want to just be creating mailbox from them. You can create shared mailboxes and assign people to manage such mailboxes. So that's what we have on shared mailbox. Now we have resource mailbox. Now, resource mailbox are a type of mailbox that are utilized for managing resources, share conference room, projectors. So let me give an example of how the use case for this. So for example, an organization have like a conference room where they use for virtual meetings. They carry out virtual meetings in that particular room, and they would like for people to like book, take permission to use the place before the date, and they also want a way to check for availability. So if a way of doing this in Office 365 is that you can create what we call a resource mailbox, a room mailbox, and assign it to that physical location. So I don't want to go deep into Teams devices and the rest. Now you can have a Teams device in that particular location where users can then, go ahead to check the availability of that room, check if they can go ahead to book it, check if they can go ahead to have their meeting in there. So that's one use case of the resource mailbox. The good thing is that it has a calendar where you can see, this place is booked for so dates. This place, there's no availability for yet. This place has already been fully booked, because you can also even decide how many, if for example, how many people can use that room. limit it. For example, you can say, okay, this room mailbox, only 20 people can book it. If you are having a meeting where you be more than 20 people, you won't be able to book this particular room mailbox. So that's how a resource mailbox work. You can determine the capacity, its availability, its location. So the resource can be it's usually confusing for people, except you practice it or you see a use case, which is not within the scope of our teaching today. We're just understanding the different types. But a resource mailbox is something you assign to a location, a room, a conference room, where you want your users in your organization to book, check for the capacity, check, okay, is this location free? Is it available? This is the capacity of this room. Can this take the amount of meetings I want to have? Can it be used for the meeting I want to have? Can it be used for the conference I want to do? So that's what a resource mailbox is used for. Now, we have the archive mailbox. Okay. I know we would have questions. So what I want to do is I want to go through each and the whole slide. Then I'll reach out to those that have questions. I can see Harun has questions. Just give me a few more minutes to go through the other slides and just take note of your question. And once I'm done, we'll go ahead into questions. Now we have the archive mailbox. So Microsoft knows that when you purchase an Exchange service, there's a limitation. Now, each and every one of us have different usage of our user mailbox. I might have 50 gig for 5 years, it will not be filled up. There's someone that will have 100 gig, and in just 5 months, his mailbox is filled up. So there's what Microsoft introduces what we call an archive mailbox. It is called, the technical term is in-place archive. So it's a separate mailbox that you enable for your user to decongest their user mailbox. So, for example, you have a user that is always communicating. He was using 50 filled up, purchased Exchange Online Plan 2 for 100 gig. It got filled up. The next thing you can do for that person is you enable in-place archiving. Now, these are technical terms, but with time, you'll get to also be able to carry out these actions. So the archiving would then work on a policy. So when we say a policy, you can determine, for example, this person has been in your company for 5 years, and for you to decongest the mailbox, you want to move every email items that are 3 years old and above, or that are 2 years old and above, should be moved away from the main mailbox to the archive mailbox. So don't forget, the purpose for an archive mailbox is to decongest your one use is to decongest your user mailbox. Also, we have organizations that they don't delete things in their organizations. So everything is usually stored. There are holds not to delete anything for legal purpose, for regulatory purpose. And in that kind of situation, they might put like a hold on every user mailbox. And what a hold does is that if, for example, you are working in that kind of organization and you delete something from your user mailbox or your sent items, that item will not be completely deleted. It will be stored based on the type of hold that is created. It will be stored in your recoverable items, and that can fill up your mailbox fast. What you can do in that situation also is to enable in-place archiving. So what that does is that it helps decongest the main mailbox and move those items into the archive mailbox. Now, the good thing about the archive mailbox is that you can enable what we call auto archiving. So you can have up to 1.5 terabytes of storage. 1.5, that is like 1000 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes. You understand what I'm trying to say? So that is 1.5 terabytes of storage for your archive mailbox. So no matter how old you are on Earth, you can't fill it up. I've gone through cases where they've gotten up to 900, 800. I've seen cases like that. I've seen rare cases like that. But that gives you enough leverage to decongest your user mailbox. Lastly, I'll be talking about the group mailbox. Um, Now, the difference between some people used to confuse a group mailbox and a shared mailbox. Now, a shared mailbox is created for communication, not just within the members of the, not it's not created for communication within the members of that group, of that shared mailbox. It is created for usage like a user mailbox. You create a shared mailbox because you want to communicate with with, let's say, IT. You want to send emails with info@jai.com. You want to send emails with sales@jai.com, and you don't want to pay for a license. Now, unlike a group mailbox is created to facilitate communication between members of that group. So a group mailbox, you create a group a group mailbox. Let's say, I'm looking for something that will be easy to vibe with. Okay, let's say welfare of your company now. There are 5 people welfare of your company, and you add 5 of them to a particular group, and you want to send to them so that they can see it out at once. You create a group mailbox for them. You can also use like a distribution group, but mainly a group mailbox is used to facilitate communication between members of that group. And the good thing about the Office 365 Pro is that due to the collaboration and the collaborative features of the Office 365, you can have an email, you can have email sent to that group, you can have calendars, you can have files in that group as a result of SharePoint. You can make the group public or private, depending on the group settings and permissions.